Commanders dead. President Benigno Aquino said the operation in the south of the country should have been cancelled because of poor planning. The raid was targeting one of Asia's most wanted terror suspects. Let's get more now on the diplomatic push to end the conflict in eastern Ukraine. Let's cross live to Andy Hunder, the director of the Ukrainian Institute, who joins us from London. So there's a diplomatic push now underway in Russia at the moment. What is it that Ukraine would like to see on the table?
Well, what Ukraine and most of the world would like to see is for Russia to take back its army, to take back its troops, and for Vladimir Putin to stop the murder in Ukraine. I think what we've seen over the last year, since February 2014, when Russian troops landed in Crimea, when Russia was denying any presence of Russian troops, but later they said, well, yes, these are our troops. We're seeing a complete analogy now of Russian troops, of Russian military vehicles, of tanks crossing the border from Russia into Ukraine. That has to stop. I mean, 5,500 people have been killed already in 21st century Europe. And Ukraine, as an independent sovereign state, its territorial integrity and sovereignty is being violated by the fact it's been invaded by Russia. And what Ukraine and what the world wants to see is for this invasion to stop.
Of course. And Ukraine, I mean, what sort of give is Ukraine likely to offer? I mean, more autonomy possibly in the east?
Well, a year ago, I mean, the revolution of human dignity, what sparked it, it was the fact that Ukrainians have chosen a future for themselves based on European values, based on values of human dignity, freedom of speech, rule of law. They do not want to be ruled by a KGB-style dictatorship under Vladimir Putin. So they want to move towards European values. And, Ukraine is a big European country, and it wants to live according to those values. I think in terms of what it wants is for its, territorial integrity and sovereignty to be respected and to move back, to have, Crimea, which is Ukrainian, as recognized by the whole international community. That's why the sanctions were imposed against Russia, that Russia could not get away with this invasion.
There's talk of more weapons, American weapons. Would that improve the situation or exacerbate the fighting on the ground?
Well, I think we have to understand 25 years ago, in 1991, Ukraine had the third largest nuclear arsenal in the world. It was bigger than that of China, France, and the United Kingdom combined. It was massive. And it gave up these nuclear missiles, about 1,540 missiles, 1,500 missiles, in exchange for assurances from the United States, from the United Kingdom, and from Russia that its territorial integrity and sovereignty will be preserved. Now we've seen that Russia has invaded Ukraine. Ukraine is asking the United States and the United Kingdom, which gave these assurances, can we have these weapons back? Because had Ukraine had these missiles today, it's very unlikely that Russia would have invaded. So the question now is not only asking for something new, it's going back to the assurances made 2 decades ago so that Ukraine can defend itself against an aggressor that is coming in, invading its land, invading its territory, and killing including civilians. I think we've seen some horror, shocking the way that the Russian military has invaded in 21st century Europe. And I think, that's what John Kerry was saying yesterday, Secretary of State Kerry, who was in Kiev yesterday, and yesterday talks with Angela Merkel, with President Hollande, and talks taking place today. And I think it's really understanding that this is an invasion and this must stop. And, we must return to a peaceful settlement and Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity preserved.
Let's leave it there. Andy Hunder, director of the Ukrainian Institute, joining us from London. Now, the Nigerian-based armed group Boko Haram has launched an attack in neighbouring Niger. Witnesses